Welcome, guys, to Betzy podcast, where we are focused on raising capital and investing with purpose. So, whether you are a new investor, an experienced investor looking to buy a business, understanding the art of raising capital is so crucial in today's competitive landscape. Join us as we navigate the competitive realm of raising private capital, securing funding, and building meaningful relationships that fuel your business growth.
Hello, everyone.
Hey guys, what's up? What's up? What's up? I'm your host, Kalisha, and I got my co host, Betzy, with me today, as usual. As usual. What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up? Oh my gosh, it's been a crazy weekend. It's been a crazy Monday, but it's great.
Listen, we gotta do what we gotta do. It's like we were talking earlier that it's always we think we have everything under control, and it's always the very last 5 to 10 minutes or a couple seconds. We're like, oh, we're having an issue. But guys, guess what? Sometimes you got to figure out the issue and just freestyle and go along, and it will work itself out.
Yeah.
Um, but no, today it's gonna be a great episode. We're hearing from normally we bring persons on who are investors. They're the ones borrowing the funds. But today we're bringing a lender who's also an investor as well. And then he's sharing his experience with the lending side. But before we even dive in, Betsy, you want to hit them with my disclaimer?
Yes, disclaimer for all of you guys watching. The following information is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence. We do not provide financial, legal, or professional advice. Everything that we talk about here is from our experience. Even from our lender's perspective, it's our experience. We don't know the laws. Every case is different. So please, please, please do your due diligence. And for our audio listeners too, sorry, you guys, I did not forget about y'all.
And I mean, like, again, like huge shout out to everyone who is tuning in right now. If you missed this podcast and you're watching the replay, thanks for the dedication in watching this replay and listening as well. We really appreciate it. If you guys are listening to this show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, let us know what you guys think. Leave us a review, share it with a friend as well, because that's where you kind of like bump us up a little bit, and we appreciate it. And thank you for all our new followers as well. Like,
It's been so great to actually see you guys. That you guys are actually listening. That's so cool.
we have some dedicated supporters as well, like persons who they're always on every Monday, even if it's just 15 minutes, they're live, engaged. And even if they miss the episode, they're watch the replay, always giving us feedback. So
Writing
let's
comments. Thank you guys. We
jump
really
right in.
appreciate it.
Huh? It's amazing. You guys are like super amazing. So with that being said, like, hit the like button. Let us know what you guys think. Subscribe to our channel. Let us know what you guys think. What info you guys want to see. Let's introduce our guest, Vincent Reyes.
Hello,
Welcome.
everyone.
Oh,
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
you know what's amazing? It's finally good to put a face,
Yes.
name. Oh
I know
my.
a lot of the stuff that we do is virtual, so we have a lot of
Yeah.
conversations and back and forths that are virtual. So we are on the phone, but it's really, really nice actually seeing your face.
This is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All the time. And now it's just the season. It's like, now I know who I'm talking to. But no, welcome. And we appreciate you for being here. We're all for those who are watching, listening, we're all a part of the same mentorship group with Pace Morbid. So you see Vincent with his. That's literally how we all got to know each other because of this great community that exists. It has investors, it has lenders, it has everyone. Persons who went in to be an investor and now turn a private money lender. There's so many opportunities there for you to build great relationships. So Vincent, today we're talking about the nightmare. This is was the nightmare of private lending. And we've been wanting to do this episode, I think maybe from episode 2.
Yeah, we've been having it there on our little CRM where we're like tracking it, waiting for it.
Because we know the thing is, we know their stories, and it's always here when these things happen, not to really focus on the bad, but to really focus on how to handle things like this, what to look out for. So that's kind of what we want to dive in today. So for those who, before we even dive into that, for those who don't know Vincent, who is Vincent? Tell us a little bit about your company, HH Home Buyer Solutions.
Yeah, so I'm originally from California. That's where I started. I did start investing in real estate back in 2005, 2006. Bought some land, built some houses in Salton Sea, which is like by Palm Springs. Yeah, that was before the crash. I was still young, so crash happened. Like a lot of people got out of it, and then did some other things. Opened up a medical transport business in 2010, 2011. Always had my finger on the pulse though of real estate, because I knew I wanted to get back into it eventually. So after building that business up, about 2017 or so, bought another property in Big Bear, California, with Airbnb. It was already set up, but they weren't using it to the full potential.
Yeah.
So so we went in there, added jacuzzi, game rooms, and all these things, and it just did really well. Eventually sold that when the market was hot and bought 4 other properties and some more properties as well. Just been building the portfolio like that.
So with your portfolio, did you get access to these using your own money? Do you use a traditional loan? Do you use private money?
For the most part, it was traditional. It was getting a conventional loan, and then with that property that I sold, I did what's called a 1031 exchange.
Yeah.
And then was able to buy more properties, but also with traditional routes. Yeah, I didn't start using or even think about private money till later down the years. So I signed up with the Sub 2 program. That's when it really opened my eyes to it. Yeah.
So when you went in to join Sub 2, did you go in with the intention of learning about creative financing or lending? Because I'm trying to understand how did that transition from an investor to a lender? When I originally went into Sub 2, it was around the end of 2020, and it was more about creative, right? Trying to learn the creative routes, and then we had sold the business around 2020, 2021. So that's where I had the funds, and then private money was something I was like, okay, I can do some lending as well. And then there is a horror story that we were talking about that I can get into, just let me know when, with another partner that I invested out of state investing. Okay. So let's dive right in.
Yeah.
Because I know Betzy had heard a story when we talked. You told me the story as well when we spoke the first time we spoke last year, and it's very interesting of how things are unfolding and going through the entire process. So my first question would be, when did it hit the fan? When did you realize, okay, this lending experience is about to go downhill? When did the borrower start disappearing and not responding? Start from there.
Well, there's that. Okay, that experience wasn't so much me as lending. It was more me as partnering with someone, and we borrowed money to flip houses.
Okay.
So the way that it started was in 2020. Again, I had excess funds, so I hooked up with this out of state. This was in Ohio. I was in California, and she was flipping houses in Ohio.
Yeah.
And we met on Facebook, and she wasn't in Sub 2, but we met through one of the groups, and then we started talking. And she was actively investing, showed me what she was doing. She was doing about 3 or 4 houses, and I'm like, okay. So I said, all right. Now this is where I took a big risk. I was the one who got the loan and I funded the rehab. So, I was pretty much, my name was on everything.
Yeah.
But she did such a good job. I mean, we did the flip. It took about 6 months. And again, the market was hot, right? Everyone was flipping. Everything was good. It was going well. And we flipped the house and we made great money. So then she came back. So, I want to buy two. Let's buy two more. And then that's when, I was like, all right, well, I mean, if everything goes good the way it did, then I don't mind, as long, because the first flip that we did went great. Communication was there every week. She's sending me pictures, giving me updates. It was, I was like, that's what, I'll be a partner for life as long as we're both on the same track, even though I'm taking all the risk, but that's how I am. I'm a loyal person. And as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, I don't mind. So, that's when we got into the other ones, which was a house in Columbus and a duplex in Cincinnati.
Okay. So I love the fact that you shared that you had the bad experience didn't start from the first project. So that's one thing for our listeners to know. Vincent had a good experience for the first time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what led you to be like, okay, you like how this works, so let's try this again. So I like that you mentioned that. So that property, you said it's in Columbus.
The first one that we flipped.
So not the first one, the third one, that when you realized that it's starting to now having issues.
Yeah. So we bought so at the same time, we bought two properties at the same time. That one was a private money lender that we used, and she knew him because she was doing other deals with him. She had like 3 other houses with him as well. So, and so like, okay, so we went with that lender. I paid everything. We had to pay for the tenants to move, had to give them some moving money, those type of things. So, and all as this is going, remember COVID was going on, and I had a medical transfer company, so that's why I was in the process. Honestly, we were about to close. It was bad. It hit us hard. We weren't doing as many transports, so I was dealing with that. So I let her, I said, okay, because I have so much going on my side. I said, go ahead and deal with the draws and everything. You deal directly with the lender. And so, since you already have a relationship with them, you don't have to, because the first flip that we did, I was the one responsible because I was paying out of pocket for the rehab. So she had to always come to me for every draw. And maybe that's something that, now that I look back, I'm like, maybe that's why it went so smooth. Yeah. But this time I let her do everything, deal with the lender, deal with the draws. And so that was pretty much it. And I was busy, with my business and everything that was going on. So so I just let things go, and I just got so busy. Plus I was moving about 2021 after that was another thing. I was selling the business. And from there, I got so busy with my house, and we're moving from California to Texas, which is a huge move.
Yeah.
So I just had a lot on my plate, and I just left everything to her. She would give me an update here and there, but it wasn't like before. And I wasn't even thinking, I was like, well, everything should be fine. And then it's after we moved here when I started seeing that. I talked to her. I was like, what's going on? Oh, the contractor hasn't been there for 3 weeks. And then that's when, red flags started to go up. I'm like, what do you mean contractor hasn't been there for 3 weeks? How do you not let, how do you let that happen? And then, that's when I talked to the lender, and the lender again is a private investor, and he does flips and everything on his own. He went out to the property, and she already had drawn about 80,000, 80 or 90,000. And when he went there, he goes, I've been doing this for 20 years, Vince, and she already drew like 90,000, and there's probably only 20,000 in this property. And that's where I almost had a heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah. That's when,
It's crazy because from my understanding, normally with lenders, before you do a draw, they want to see pictures, and that's why they do scope of work before as well. So didn't that lender pick something up?
So what she was doing was she was sending him like, I don't know, how do you say it, like edited pictures, and the contractor, maybe they were in cahoots because he was signing off on the draws. Because you're right, we have every time she gets a draw, she has to send pictures plus like a form, a release form saying that, yes, I did this work. Yes, I completed this. I completed that. And then I think the pictures might have been edited because I asked him about that. I go, why were you approving these then? And he goes, oh, they look, I mean, again, everyone had so much going on. Everything looked good to him. So it just slipped right under right under the radar. He didn't, catch it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you, so when you confronted her, when you realized that, okay, now she's like delaying and you confronting her about the money, like tell us a little bit about that part. What was the approach and the conversation?
Yeah. So pretty much I started texting her like, what's been going on, and I should have caught things because again, Facebook, right? We were friends on Facebook, and I would see her post as the project was going. She's flying to Paris. She's flying to here. She's flying to, just traveling the whole time while this project is supposed to be going on.
Yeah.
So those are things that I should have picked up on, but again, I was just, busy with my world. But when I confronted her, she would always have, excuse, oh, I don't know, let me go check and I'll get back to you. And then finally I was like, all right, now I have to get an attorney involved, because we got to go out to because right now I'm mad at the contractor. I'm like, this guy's burning us. We got to go after him. I said, give me everything you sent him. I want your bank statements. I want proof that you sent him all this money because the attorney's going to need that. And that's when she was not giving me what I needed. I was like, you should have bank statements showing payments.
Yeah.
She would give me, she made some, what do you call that? Google Sheets. She would make some Google Sheets that she made. And I was like, okay, that's great, but I need the actual bank statements showing you paid him so we can go after him, that he accepted. And she wouldn't give those to me.
That's another red flag.
That was a big red flag. That was a very big red flag. Yeah.
Because I remember when you were telling me the story, you said that even when you connected with the attorney and everything, I think the attorney was having a hard time reaching her as well because she was just MIA.
Yes. She wouldn't take calls. She wouldn't. Yeah. And that's when the communication with her started to fall off.
Yeah.
And then she wasn't responding, texting. I kept telling her, we need this, we need that. And that's when even the attorney said, man, I think, something else is going on here. And then that's when I started doing my own little private investigation on her and, started realizing, okay, yeah, there's more to it too. I'll tell you if we get into it more.
Oh, definitely. Wait, this too, because I want to dive super deep.
Mm-hmm.
With London, so all of this was a hard money, so therefore there was no private money yet, so there was no like deed or any like promissory note at all, right?
No, this was just your standard hard money loan where
Okay.
that were yeah.
Did you have like a joint venture? Like what agreement did you guys have in place for the partnership?
So that's one thing we did have was a joint venture agreement with her. Her and her LLC. So I did have that. That was the only thing that we really had because again, everything was under my LLC, the loan, my social, because I had, everything was under me. I had all the skin in the game. She didn't have not a drop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just crazy. I'm still lost with the hard money portion of it. But as you said, like clearly she went ahead and they edited the photos. So that part it's so tricky. So I know from the last time we spoke, like up to, because this project was what, 2022 or 2021 when this started happening.
This started happening. The project started at the end of we closed on August. So I think it started around September, October of 2021.
Okay.
And we were supposed to have both of these done by, definitely by summer of 2022.
And these projects are still a work in progress. They're not completed.
As of now. So this is what happened. So the Columbus house, that one she did complete. Okay, another horror story. So that one she did complete. And she completed it in January. And then as we listed it in January, oh, mind you, and she's an agent as well. She listed it. And then around February, we didn't have no offers. And now we're starting to price drop. And then March, no offers. We price drop again. And then she texts me that, oh, the house got vandalized, and mind you, everything's new in the house, new appliances, everything. Someone went in there and stole all the appliances, the refrigerator, dishwasher, microwave, all the brand new light fixtures we had, the AC, and the furnace, all at once. All of it gone. It was like 15,000, something like that. And then to make things worse, our insurance wouldn't cover it because they said we don't cover theft. So, yeah. And I said, "What are you gonna do? Anything? Are you gonna? Oh, what can I do?" I just, my ex-partner is just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. This sucks." I'm like, yeah.
And this is where like it's super shady, because then if you are a partner and you're heavily invested in this, and if something happened to your property, you should be like, no, we got to find a way, because I'm losing money. This house, like, it just goes to show, not make an assumption that she has something to do with it.
Yes. And after looking back now and talking, we think her and either her or the contractor did it, because the way they stole everything was kind of clean.
Yeah.
So it had to be an inside job, correct? It had to be an inside job, because the way nothing was broken. There was no door jams broken. I mean, it was, yeah.
So from what I'm hearing at the beginning, your takeaways is that you should have been more vigilant. I think that's the one thing that you would have changed if you could go back.
That's one. Definitely, again, my thing is, if you're going to have a partner, make sure they have skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That they have, as much vested as you do. Because if they don't, it's easy for them to just walk away and be like, okay, you're on your own, which is pretty much how she left me. Yeah. So, and then of course, vetting your contractors. Again, I let her pick everything, and nothing to women or anything. I love working with women, but sometimes I think maybe the contractors took advantage of her because she was a woman. I don't know, because she would let them do whatever they want. If they didn't show up, she didn't argue with them. If they didn't do this, she didn't, so I don't know, and because another thing with the Columbus house, the house was like the way I had to go back in there and refix a lot of things. I was like, how come you didn't say anything about that? Like the floor was off, this was off, the stair rail broke. I mean, it was this crappy work. Siding fell off. Yeah, I had to personally pay for a lot of things in that house. It was a nightmare.
Did you fix it yourself?
Like, not me physically, but I had to hire, contractors to do everything and replace all the appliances and everything.
You're talking and I'm listening, and I'm like, there's so much. You've done a lot of right things. So as much as you want to beat yourself up that you were busy, you've done. The fact that you had that JV agreement, that is key. A lot of persons don't even have that, right? But it's things that happen to us and we don't even realize. And again, you said it, like she had experience, that gave credibility as well.
Yeah, but one good experience.
She had good experience. It was, and you had a great experience for the first time. It's just that the third one, everything just went down. Maybe with her, and it's something that you could not have predicted. She's good on the first one, she's good on the second one, and then the third one, she's like, this person really trusts me, so now I can get away with it.
Maybe. And I did my due diligence as well. I mean, I like the other properties that she was flipping when I first met her. I looked them all up. I checked title to see if it was her LLC, like she said, and they were. So she was actively flipping other houses. So I did what I could. I don't know if the money got to her because she was doing good and making money and selling houses, and some people that have never, experienced that kind of money just don't know how to act. I don't know. They just, yeah. So back to the Cincinnati. So the duplex, once I found out what was going on, I did go after the main contractor. He stopped responding, stopped picking up his phone. And then, so now I have to pick up the pieces, right? Because there is still quite a bit of work, siding that had to be done. And we had draw money left. And again, the investor knew, because I told him, look, I'm not the kind of person, I'm not going to put my head in the sand like she did. I will finish this. I give you my word. Give me time, work with me, and I'll make this right, And he was very understanding. So I just said, just keep the draw money for the payments because, and mind you, I've been paying this whole time, every month, paying the hard money up until, the stuff hit the fan.
Yeah.
So I said, look, I need a little breathing room. So I'll fund the rehab just to keep those as your payments. And that's kind of what we did. And he's been cool with it. And yeah, we finished. We finally. And it was just one experience after another. A couple more bad contractors. When they know you're out of state, some can be really. They'll take advantage of you. So that's something that if you have boots on the ground, which I have now, thanks to Sub 2, I met some really good people in Columbus. And shout out to Antoine Tucker if anyone knows him. He's good people. He's from the Ohio group. He's helped me out a lot. He's went to both properties and looked at them. Hooked me up with other people, and I've met some other, Sub 2 students.
This
So,
is a little
mhm.
sidetrack, but it's something that I've learned from another investor here in Florida who is doing fix and flip out of state. And he has this camera system that the camera is inside, it's outside the house, around the back, it's inside. So he's seen everything that everyone is doing if they want to steal from him. And I think he had a contractor before as well that unplugged the camera thinking that he won't see anything. But the way how the camera is set up, even if you unplug it, it has battery life that lasts for hours. So he was still able to keep track of what the contractors are doing. So maybe that's something I could share the link with you for if you still need it, just to have
Uh,
camera on the project.
so actually, again, going back to that partner that I have over there, Antoine, he goes, "Hey, have you ever heard of this thing called Tattletale?" And I'm like, "What's that?" It's an alarm system. So, and it's really, I think it was made by investors because it's for like, you don't need Wi-Fi or anything. You do need power, but it does have a power. It has a backup, and that's what it is. It's not a camera though. It's an alarm system. So you can put motion detectors on the doors. It has its own motion detector on the unit. And that's what, yeah, I ended up buying 2 of those. I bought one for the Columbus and one for the Cincinnati. And I put them, yeah, so I've been using that and that's worked out really well. But yeah, so that camera system is good too. I would like to know about that because if it's in a camera, that's good too.
It's called Blink, I think.
A Blink, and all you need is power. You don't need Wi-Fi.
I don't think you need Wi-Fi, but I can always double check.
Oh, okay.
Because he used it for all his fix and flip project, and I don't think most times it has Wi-Fi. But I think he had a case where the plumber was like, someone was like, I put in X amount of times, and he could go back to the camera and be like, no, you did not. I have the camera right here. This is the amount of work that you've done today, and you're
So
not.
yeah, so what I've done also kind of with that is and this is for when I did my flips in Cali, I would buy the Verizon hotspot and then put a camera.
Mhm.
I would buy those, Wi-Fi cameras and then with the Verizon hotspot and then do it like that. And we did catch a squatter. Someone broke into one of their houses and we had to get the police over there. But yeah, that's what I've done as well. So
That is interesting.
yeah.
So with all this that's going on, have this experience like change your perception on perspective on lending in terms of I don't want to lend anymore, or how that does affect it?
Yeah, because and coming to back to the lending, yeah, because I have done some private lending, and I do have even right now. I have a guy right now that he's not behind, but he was due, and he's around 4 months that he hasn't paid everything. He pays his monthly, but he's behind, and so you just got to be really careful when you lend. I mean, they always say you want to be in first position if you can. That is really the best protection because when you're in second position and they foreclose, there's a chance that you won't get your money back. Also, I like to do personal guarantees now. So personal guarantees are really good. And then, yeah, just, do your due diligence with the person that you're lending to. See what they're actually doing. See if they have any, what their history is, their track record.
And another thing that we always tell for lenders too is, and for even persons who come to us and ask us to raise capital, and if it's a fix and flip, we like to analyze the numbers ourselves. and it needs to have. Betzy always laugh at me because I call it. I always say, we can't raise capital for this deal because there's not enough meat on it. There's not enough spread. And I'm like, I'm not confident that we should bring this to a lender to say, lend on this deal because the spread isn't there. And a lot of persons don't understand that because they see a deal and just think it's a purchase, it's the rehab and the ARV, but they don't consider your holding costs. If the project goes over, your rehab costs, your closing costs, there needs to be a good spread. So just in case anything happens, like in your case, you still had to be pulling money and paying the monthly payment. The rehab went over. So there needs to be enough spread as well to be super safe or just to mitigate a risk with something.
Yeah, and a lot of the properties that we do fund, that we find funding for, are in second position. So we need to be sure that there is that spread.
Yeah.
Else we won't do it.
And they have to be extremely protected because I think for us as well, our reputation has a lot to do with it.
Yes.
And it's not just like we can't. It's not like we're forcing lenders to be like, "Hey, lend on this deal." But if we bring this opportunity to you, yes, it's your final decision. We're gonna be clear with all the numbers, all that stuff. And one thing that we do is, if a lender says no, we don't force. We're like, why? And then we try to understand and then just move on to the next one because we don't want credibility to be tarnished just because of something like that.
Build up trust.
Yes.
So
speaking of credibility, with this ex-partner of mine, come to find out, the attorney, he goes, "Oh, look what I found," and he shows me like around 5 other lawsuits against other investors that she kind of did the same thing to. Yeah, so I guess, and then what's sad is the lender that I'm working with, we've become real cool, of course, with everything going on. He told me that she has 3 other houses, and these are all her family members that she's pretty much burning. Like, yeah, and he's gonna foreclose on all 3 of those houses because she hasn't made no payments, but they're under her family's name. So that, whew, yeah.
She's burning them crazy.
Yeah, she's burning a lot of bridges. And then her realtor's license in Ohio got banned, and also in Kentucky. Yeah. Yeah, she lost her realtor license because we were going to go after that as well. But yeah, but I got my liens. So here we go with the liens. So I got liens on all she has about 5 properties remaining that she owns and under her name and her LLC. The attorney got liens on all of them, but I mean, who knows if they get foreclosed, I may still not get anything.
Yeah.
So
at this point, your goal is to finish the properties and repay the hard money lender.
That's it. Lick my wounds and move on. Learn. That's all I can do. When this happens, you want to just learn from it. Don't let it discourage you. This is a part of the game. Unfortunately, it's not all sunshine and roses like some people might claim, because there is there's the horror side to some of this that happens.
It's the risk. It's the risk.
There is a risk.
When everyone asks, like, can you guarantee this? And I was like, can you guarantee that? No, I cannot. But these are things that we put in place to mitigate these risks. This happened. If your rehab goes over, here are the risks. If God forbid that I die or any one of our borrowers die, we have the documentation put in place. So the most we can do, and as you said, personal guarantee, I know a lot of persons are doing that as well. And investors are open to say, hey, I can personal guarantee this loan as well. But the best advice I would say is just put things in place to mitigate those risks, because you never know what can happen.
It's crazy that you mentioned that. So I have another one, and I don't know if I told you this one, Betzy, about an apartment complex that I invested in. And this is in Palm Springs, California. This was before I moved. 6 figures was invested, and the builder passed away. He was only 44 years old, and he was the only one that was in control of the whole project. And when he passed away, now we have to get attorneys involved, and it's a mess. And I was second position on that one. Yeah.
How did you
So
end up getting your
yeah, that's a whole. Still haven't. It's still in probate. We're trying to find another developer to take over because the spread is there. I mean, it still needs quite a bit. It needs about 800,000 to finish, but when it's done with all in all, it'll be worth like 3 million. So it's in a very good location of Palm Springs. So I mean, the spread is there. I'm sorry.
I might have a builder for you. We have friends who's doing building hotels in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, we may have found someone. We've been working with an agent that's, we've been going back and forth over numbers with the lender, and then with the cost of finishing it. So, hopefully, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that one right there, being the second position again, if that forecloses, who knows what might happen to me? And I have private investors on that one as well. Now they know the situation, but again, it's still my face that's all over it. And I mean, the guy was 44 years old. Who, he had a heart attack. What can you say? He was young. That was unexpected. But again, if they foreclose, there's a good chance that we could lose some or all of the investment. Yeah. So
if you have questions as well, just feel free to drop in the chat. Thank you guys for being super engaging. But I want to ask Vincent, like for a lender, because I know lenders can get scared. They're thinking of going, they really want to do it, but they're afraid of things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like what, I know you touched on the advice a little bit. What else would you tell them to consider? And then, man, I keep losing my train of thought. I need some vitamins. But what other like things you would tell them to consider? And then if any lenders out there who are facing similar situations where borrowers are disappearing, what advice would you give them to handle it in this situation?
are you talking about from like someone who wants to borrow? Like
Yeah.
what we can advise, what they can, I mean, again, doing your homework, showing, I want to see the numbers. I want to see where'd you get these numbers from. And yeah, what are your exit strategies? Very important to see, if I can't flip it, what are you going to do? Are you prepared to get a loan and then, pay out that way? If of course if we can be in first position, then you really, we're good. But if we have to be in second position, then of course personal guarantees. What else? Being added as an additional insured on the insurance, that would help as well. And then if you have the credibility, so that's why it's a little scary when you're dealing with new investors that don't have experience. Some are riskier than others, and that's the kind of one I did right now, where the guy is about 3 or 4 months behind, because he's a new investor. But I try to work with people, and I got all that from him. So, but yeah, I mean, and communication, that's the really, really biggest thing, is just being communication. If we do it, I want to see reports, like see what's going on. See some pictures of, the activity that's going on. So I know that, okay, you know what, everything's going good. You're communicating. I shouldn't have to ask you every month if you're doing like monthly payments. Hey, it's the first, where's the payment? Where's the payment? Because all that shows, that shows what kind of person you are, your responsibility. I hope that kind of answered some questions.
Yes, I know a few lenders, private money lenders as well, and they have a few borrowers who disappear, default, maybe for a year, months.
Mm-hmm.
Like apart from, yes, we know the standard to foreclose, the standard, get an attorney. But what would you say to them in terms of like the thinking, or to do future deals, or how to handle mentally? How to handle something like this? Because yes, you want to get your money back, but I can only imagine the mental agony this has caused, because you're like, oh, I'm losing money and this person disappeared. Like, how have you been handling that, and what advice would you give to someone?
That's true.
If you're going to do this, you have to be ready for that. That is something that you know that can happen. Nothing is for sure. Nothing is guaranteed. Never get comfortable, because you never know, when these things can happen. You have to have reserves. Thank God that I have reserves, and, I was prepared for this.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't let this, like, this wasn't all the money that I had. If this doesn't work, oh man, I'm broke, I'm gonna have to sell my house. No, this was, I mean, I knew that this can happen, and that's the risk you take also, as when you're lending. So you just have to be mentally prepared and have a backup plan, have reserves. Just like having a rental property, you got to have that war chest, right? What Pace talks about, have that war chest ready for when things, happen. So that's the advice I would give if you're going to be, lending. You're taking a risk,
No, Edgar in the chat, Edgar said, always check your own risk tolerance. And
Yes. Mhm.
that is so important, because we've spoken to a lot of lenders, private money lenders who wants to lend, and we ask them, what is your risk tolerance? What are you comfortable with? And honestly, a lot of persons don't even know.
Yeah. How would you tell them? What would you tell them, like, how to assess their own risk tolerance?
I guess just based on what you feel, that if you lost that money, I mean, what would happen? What would you do, right? If that's really what it comes down to, right? I mean, if you lent this out and it never came back, how's that going to affect you? Are you still going to be able to do other deals? Are you still going to be able to invest in real estate? Do you need that money? Is that money for your bills, for your put food on your table? Because then then I don't think you should be risking that kind of money.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Like, we've spoken about it multiple times, where persons who they want to lend and they're so eager to lend, and after like getting to know lenders and building our relationship, we find out sometimes they have the 25 to 50,000, but that's the only 25 to 50,000 that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And the question we always ask is, and some persons don't like when we ask it, it's, what's your source of funding? Because if this is your savings and it's the only thing that you have, sometimes we're like, let's do another deal. Let's do a smaller amount, because you don't want to get into a deal and in a month you're like, I need this money now.
Yeah.
So eager to get a deal, but that has a lot to do with your risk tolerance as well, and just doing your own, as lenders as well, do your own due diligence, and not even due diligence, but research. Go on YouTube, go on the internet, just find, what do I need to know as a private money lender, and literally just read and educate yourself, because in reading, more things start appearing in Google, and then you're now becoming better, and questions to ask. You're coming up with questions to ask as well. And as I said, I'm going through something similar. See, I'm hearing so many. We need to get you guys all on these.
Yeah.
It is in. I mean, knock on wood. I wouldn't want this to happen to me, but as you said, like, anything can happen. But I think for me, I'm just a big communicator. And I think if that should ever happen, that would be that's one thing that I would push, is just communicating. Because I think right now we're going through a similar deal with someone, a lender, and funds went to escrow, and funds went to escrow. The seller wanted to sell the property to a wholesaler, and so they wanted to break the contract. And then, because we already told them that they can't, we got an attorney involved. They now wanted to file for bankruptcy. So they're trying to find every single thing to get out of that contract. But our private money lender already sent funds months ago. During all of that, we were like, okay, we honestly can't do anything right now, but have the attorney talking to the seller. But during that time, we have been like communicating with the lender. At one point, they were like, okay, we get it. Because we were like sending text messages, we were sending emails. Even if there's nothing, we sent an email to be like, hey, we don't have an update as yet, but this is the last that we've heard. We'll keep you posted as soon as something happens. and this lender was out of the country on vacation.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we
And
were
you see
still,
how those things you have no control of, right? I mean, who knew that was going to happen, right?
Ooh, where
they thought that we got the funds, and we're like, we can't do anything because the funds is now stuck in escrow.
Yeah.
And what we did, we're like, we don't even have access to the funds. But one thing that we did, the borrower started paying them out of their pocket. Even if we still haven't gotten the funds yet, because the agreement is you will be paid each month once the funds goes to escrow and we close. We haven't closed yet, but just for that building that relationship and peace of mind and just being accountable, we're just gonna.
Kalisha, are you the one that Pace called? Did Pace call you?
I don't remember. You're like the second person who said that.
did
Oh,
they
okay.
ever call you, Kalisha?
I can't, but we've been chatting on Instagram because I've been telling them a few things that we need to do for raising capital about these.
Oh, okay. No, your story sounds very familiar now that I'm hearing it. I remember there was someone that was saying it was total miscommunication, even from the person that was doing the lending was making it sound like the person she lent to was trying to pull something, but it wasn't really the borrower wasn't the investor wasn't. It was kind of like a situation like that. It was out of her hands. It wasn't her. It was the seller. And then Pace actually on a live Zoom, he called the lender, the investor that was the private money lender, live and talked to her. So I don't know. I thought that was you for a minute.
This or lenders, they're out of the country.
Oh, okay.
They're out. So and then they were so curious. And it's crazy because their perspective was, okay, I know this is not in your hand, but I want to learn. Just in case she should land on something again. She's asking like, what about bankruptcy? Will that affect my funds? And it's also a learning experience for us.
Yes. Yes.
We never encountered something like that before.
Yeah.
So
and it was like an awesome conversation talking to the investor, like, hey, our lender, their payment is due this time. What are we gonna do? And the investor was more than willing to be like, I'm gonna still pay them. Of course. That's what we agreed. So
is that deal still going on?
Yeah.
Or oh. Okay.
It's definitely still going. It's definitely still going on, but they're very understanding. And like we're keeping track. They're like, we're back in the US at this time. We're like, okay, let's set up a meeting so we can all be on the same page again, just to keep you updated. Because the seller was crazy. And so now the money just sitting in escrow. Nothing.
Wow.
And try to work with the title. They're working with us. I mean, like calling title to be like, hey, I'm the lender. This is what's going on. And the title is like, nope, because the seller is doing that. And I'm not releasing any funds until all the paperwork is finalized.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, at least the money is in a safe place. That's where I can sleep at night knowing that. It's when it's gone out of escrow and who knows where.
Like the other one that we're dealing with.
Should do an episode on that where we had a lender and the lender is also on the thread because we always keep our lenders on the thread with title. The title company sent the funds, and I'm talking like over $70,000 to the wrong person.
Whoa.
Yeah. And paperwork was incorrect. And before we even sent funds, after we sent funds, we're like, hey, this need a change on the note. The deed needs to be changed. That need to be changed. And they kept overlooking. And then when they're like, funds were dispersed. And my lender called and be like, are they dumb? See that we kept telling them that the paperwork is incorrect and that they can't disperse funds as yet. So it took us maybe like 3 weeks for them to figure out what was really going on. And they finally got the money back.
Like just happened.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Luckily got it back.
Luckily you got it back. So that as you said, like things happen.
Yeah.
We could never ever foresee things like this happen, but it's just how you handle these situations. And as you said, it's so important. So, But before we wrap up, Vincent, is there anything else you would like to share with our audience who's watching or listening, or private money lenders in general as well?
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're going to be doing some private money lending, do your due diligence. Get to know the person that you're going to be lending to. See what deals they're doing, if they're doing any, and just do everything you can to protect yourself. And know at the end of the day, if you're going to lend, you are taking a risk too. It is a risk that things can happen, as you see. Things can happen, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, thank you, Vincent. Thank you for being with us today. I know that our viewers got so much value from this conversation.
I hope so. I hope able to help someone.
Yeah, definitely. Please reach out if you guys have any more questions. You can follow Vincent. Where can people follow you, Vincent?
You can follow me on Facebook. You can put in Vince Ray on Facebook.
All right, Vince Ray on Facebook, you guys. It will be on the description below. So whether you're looking to finance your next project, launch or expand a new business, we hope that this episode gave you insights, strategies, and just some general tips that you guys can raise capital and invest with purpose. We are here for you guys all the time, and see you guys next time.